know thyself. Everybody knows about everything else except for who they are and what they're here for. So the purpose is on the planet is to wake up and figure out who you are and what you're here for, because you're not your name, because you're not the body. So this book right here, The Science of Self-Realization, is what helped me figure out who I was. And then I started changing every single day, because every day is a new day for you to be a new you and become the best version of yourself and reach your highest potential and become a civilized human being on this planet, because you are not the body. You're not a human being struggling to be spiritual. You're a spiritual being struggling to be human, but you don't understand that because you live in hell on earth, and you got to get off hell on earth and start moving from your higher self. So any book that was written by man, including the Bible. God didn't write the Bible. Man wrote this book. But all the religious books that were written, they were written by devotees of God. Men or women that found God within inside of them. And they wrote these books in order for you to follow the instructions that are inside of those books, apply them to your life, and then you will find God within. If everybody followed the 10 Commandments, they would find God within, because you'll be holy as ever. You'll be walking the straight path, but nobody follows the 10 Commandments. That's why the instructions are given to you. So this book right here gives 4 instructions, 4 simple instructions for you to do. And if you want to find God within, I'm going to read these instructions to you. And this is what I move by every single day. And this is what helps God make work through me. Number 1, eating meat, fish, or eggs. These foods are saturated with modes of passion and ignorance, therefore cannot be offered to the Lord. A person who eats these foods participates in a conspiracy of violence against helpless animals and thus stops its spiritual progress dead in its tracks. So I'm going to go back. These foods are saturated with modes of passion and ignorance and therefore cannot be offered to the Lord. The body is the temple, and God wouldn't eat its own animals because God created the animals. Animals have souls, animals have DNA, DNA carry memory. I told you this before. So when you eat animals and you consume animals, then you are experiencing the trauma of what those animals have experienced before they died. That's why people are angry, grieving, stressing. Those are not your feelings. Those are the feelings that you have received from the animals that are inside of your body. That's just like when people are overweight. When you're overweight, you're not fat. You're overweight because you have consumed too much food. You're overindulging in food, and you haven't let your digestive system work for you because you're overindulging in food. You eat to live and you don't live to eat. And if you eat animals, the animals are still inside of you. And that's why you become upset. You got to love thyself, because the body is a temple. Number 2, gambling. Gambling invariably puts one into anxiety and fuels greed, envy, and anger. Don't be greedy. Don't be angry. Don't be chasing after this money, because you don't chase money, because money is you. Energy is the universal currency. E equals MC squared. Not money. Money is paper. Knowledge is power. And energy is currency. Number 3, the use of intoxicants, drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, as well as any drinks or food containing caffeine, cloud the mind and overstimulates the senses and make it impossible to understand or follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga. So everything is inside the mind. You have to have a clear, conscious mind in order to hear God inside, because God speaks to you through consciousness inside of the brain. And the last one will be the hardest one for everyone to do. Number 4, elect sex. This is sex outside of marriage or sex in marriage for any purpose other than procreation. Sex for the pleasure compels one to identify with the body and takes one far from Krishna consciousness. Krishna means God. Consciousness, you already know. The scriptures teach that sex is the most powerful force binding us to the material world. Anyone serious about advancing in Krishna consciousness should minimize sex or eliminate it entirely. So I have been practicing semen retention, sexual alchemy for the last 36 months. 3 years and a couple of days now. I don't even keep up with it anymore. It's what I have been practicing in order to become closer to God, because the Christ lives within. Your sexual energy is called Christ or Christos. Jesus never said he was returning. The Christ said it would return. And it's on you to give God back the same energy and return it to your brain and become Christ consciousness, and God will start working through you. When you have discipline and you save the life force that is given here to make you make kids in the image of your thyself, then God starts working through you, because you have a powerful force inside of you that is starting to work through you. Unconsciously, you'll stop wanting to eat these foods. Unconsciously, you'll start wanting to work out. Unconsciously, you'll start loving everybody, because God will change you within, because the Christ oil will start working through you. That's what the purpose is of your sexual energy, is to raise it to your brain and become Christ consciousness and let God start working through you. So that's the most important thing that people should do. Change the way they think and save their sexual energy, because most men in this world are not masculine anymore, because they are spilling their seed, unable to control their sexual urges. It's something that happens. It's called infeminacy. Infeminacy is when you keep spilling your seed, then you're getting feminine tendencies. You become emotional. You don't have any masculinity. You let everything bother you. Men don't have masculinity anymore, because that's what they can't control, their sexual urges. So it's very important. They don't even have confidence. So it's very important that you save your sexual energy to yourself if you want to become masculine. Because every man should know how to provide, protect. You got men that don't even know how to fight. That's why they want to shoot. You got to know how to fight. Every man should know how to be able to fight or throw some type of punches. Every man should be able to do some push-ups, at least however old you are. Every man should be chasing goals and not girls. Because once you chase goals, the girls will chase you. And if you save your sexual energy, then you'll become a high valuable individual, because you're doing something that everybody else isn't doing. Only 1% of the world practice sexual alchemy and semen retention. That's how, if you want to get close to God, save your sexual energy. And that goes for male and female. I love you all.